Hello everyone, thank you for joining us this morning. We are here with the 311 News and we have a very interesting story to cover for you today.
Yesterday we covered the return of a Galapagos tortoise that was thought to be extinct for over 100 years. The story we have for you today is a little bit darker, I'm afraid, but look on the bright side, a giant animal is still involved.
We will have an exclusive interview later on in the show done by our field operative Liam, so stay tuned for that. Without further ado, I'm Sharla.
And I'm Caitlyn.
And we're bringing you the inside scoop of George Orwell's Shooting an Elephant.
To truly understand this story, we will need some background information on the piece that Orwell wrote.
Orwell was a British novelist and essayist with a strong opposition to totalitarianism. This is one of the many essays that Orwell wrote throughout his life.
Shooting an Elephant is an essay that was published in a magazine written in 1936. This essay details the experience of one English officer when he was working in Burma. One day in the village, an elephant gets loose, and the narrator is sent to take care of it. The Burmese people want it dead, but the narrator disagrees. Feeling pressured, the narrator decides to shoot the elephant. As a result, the elephant has a slow and painful death. After the incident, the narrator expresses his remorse about shooting the elephant. Some professionals think that this essay is Orwell's confession about an event that actually happened when he was working in Burma. It is also seen as a commentary or metaphor for the impact of imperialism on one's action. There's more to this essay than meets the story, isn't there?
Yes, this essay introduced a new point towards imperialism and how it affected society.
In this next segment, we're going to talk about some of the literary elements Orwell uses.
Everything Orwell writes serves a purpose, and you will not believe how these literary elements are connected. Orwell uses symbolism to develop the theme. Symbols are abundant in this essay. In this next segment, I will explain how symbols are used to communicate the theme of the negative effects of imperialism. Let's start by breaking down each symbol.
We'll start with the narrator of the story. As you know, he is an English officer sent to watch and enforce the law in a small village in Burma. The narrator himself represents British imperialism. He is a foreigner coming in to rule over natives. He also has more authority over the people than some of the natives themselves. As we go through the other symbols and you see how this character interacts with his surroundings, you will begin to see how the theme is demonstrated.
Next, we will analyze the officer's gun. The gun is one of the tools that the officer uses in order to take down the elephant. The officer's gun represents the power of imperialism. Guns historically have been used to destroy and kill. That is the exact purpose of the gun used in this essay. His gun represents expansion and the ability to destroy, gain territory, and to defend.
The elephant is the other main character in the story. He represents the countries that are overtaken by imperialism. The sheer size of the elephant is also important to the essay. The elephant is massive and it doesn't go down easily. This represents how difficult it is to take something down like an entire country. Orwell writes, "I sent back for my small rifle and poured shot after shot into his heart and down his throat." The repeated gunshots are telling of violence and turmoil that overtakes the country when imperialism runs rampant.
That brings us to the final symbol in this story, and it comes in the form of the elephant's slow death. Although the officer shoots the elephant more times than we can count, he doesn't die quickly. Orwell writes, "I heard later that it took him half an hour to die." We already know that the elephant represents the countries being taken over by imperialism. His slow death tells of the struggles that a country goes through when they are taken over. Lives are lost, people can't sustain themselves anymore, and governments fall, which leaves the country in shambles. Even after the country or territory is conquered, resources are still being drained from them. For example, economic exploitation in the form of trade or tariffs. After the officer shot the elephant down, he repeatedly shot him in order to speed up his death and ultimately failed. The elephant was forced to suffer. After the elephant died, it was obvious that he wouldn't be able to function the same again. This permanent damage was also seen by conquered countries of the time.
In conclusion, at the beginning of the second paragraph, Orwell writes, "For at that time I had already made up my mind that imperialism was an evil thing, and the sooner I chucked up my job and got out of it, the better." All of these symbols and how they interact contributes to the main theme of the essay.
Everybody, it sounds like it's time for a break. We'll be back with more info after this short message from our sponsors.
Do you need a boat for a hurricane that's coming up? Well, go to buytheboat.com. Here you can get boats like this, or this, or maybe even this. Don't be those guys like in Their Eyes Were Watching God. Go get yourself a boat.
Thank you for that message, Liam. If you'd like more information about our sponsor, you can click the link on our website.
Moving on to the next segment, and that segment is tone. Tone is very important to the story, and in this next segment, we will dive deep into the ways that Orwell creates tone in this piece.
Orwell uses a critical and angry diction to create the tone of the piece. Orwell is very serious, and it is clear that he truly believes that English imperialism is wrong. I'm going to take you through some examples that really capture the tone of the piece.
In the first paragraph, the passage says, "In the end, the sneering yellow faces of young men that met me everywhere, the insults hooted after me when I was at a safe distance got badly on my nerves." Angry diction comes through with the words sneering, hooted, and badly, showing annoyance. This excerpt has a negative tone. The Asians were common folk to him, and he saw them everywhere, but when he was away, they always sneered at him behind his back, which he was aware of, and it pestered him.
Next quote, "The wretched prisoners huddling in the stinking cages of the lockups." The negative tone in this quote is brought across through the use of wretched, stinking, and lockup. This sentence provides a very vile imagery of his circumstance through the use of metaphor. It is representing the work at the Empire's close quarters, how everyone was mistreated and they hated their job there.
So, our third and final quote is, "The greatest joy in the world would be to drive a bayonet into the Buddhist priest's guts." The narrator is done with how the people treat him, and he wishes that he could impose harm on them due to what they have done to him. Driving a bayonet to someone's gut could possibly kill them, so this would be imposing harm with a chance of fatality. Although it seems like the narrator is angry at the Burmese, a lot of his anger is actually directed towards the British Empire and what they're doing to the people around him.
Each of these passages demonstrate how tone was developed throughout the story.
Well, that's all for today, folks. We hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at George Orwell's Shooting an Elephant.
Thank you for tuning in to the 311 News. We will be back tomorrow with a brand new story, and we hope to see you there.